Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of 2 for our run through Urgoz Warren with MagicalMike and Guild Wars Buddy. I hope you enjoy.
Alright, so in this room we're going to have a lot of pop-ups of thorn wolves, which are pretty much unique to this area, as well as a few other weird mechanics which are reminiscent of the jungle in Prophecies. You see them every now and then. They block off the roofs with these growing plants.
Yeah, and they're really annoying because you can be running away. These wolves, when Urgoz first came out, these wolves hit a lot of damage, and they were really quite worrying enemies. And the thing is, you'd often be trying to run away from them, and then these big roots, you can see them in the background popping up and disappearing, and they'd pop up right in front of you and trap you in there with these wolves, and the wolves would just completely tear you to pieces.
Yeah, and the fact that the thorn or the plants or whatever you want to call them pop up and come back down reminds me a lot of the forest in Prophecies, and it really gives that sense of there's life in this area.
And they look quite thorny as well. I've never really thought of it that way, but you've got the thorn wolves and these kind of thorny gates appearing all over the place. But I mean, the thing with the thorn wolves are that they pop up out of nowhere. You can see them sort of climbing. Oh, the chambers look pretty much empty, don't they? And then you move in, and then all of a sudden there's loads of wolves.
I think one thing we didn't video record this time through was the birds and or bats on the bridges. I don't think we passed that particular bridge in this run.
Yeah, so this area is like a big maze, isn't it, right? And we took a very specific route to get through this maze. But before, when we did a run together that we didn't film, we found a bridge here, didn't we? And there were all these birds on it.
Which was strange for me because I had never really noticed any other birds in the game.
I think there are quite a few birds, but only in very specific locations. So it's quite interesting that they would have so many birds and bats as well here, especially after that statue we saw.
Yeah, I think there is a kind of a pattern to Urgoz of stuff popping out of the ground. I don't know if you've been, the thorn walls do that, the worms, well, technically do that, the dredge come from underground as well.
Yeah, that's true actually. A lot of the stuff we're coming across is kind of... I mean, some chambers we come across and it's just full of enemies and you can see them all straight away, but sometimes you get areas like this maze where it looks completely safe and then, oh, all these things start popping up. Yeah, so to get out of the maze, really, I mean, if you don't know the way, it can be a real headache. This passageway, this tiny little gap here, is the only way to get out of the maze. So you can be wandering around for quite a long time before you realise, oh, you can actually come down this little hill and there's something in here. And it looks pretty cool in here, doesn't it?
This crystal room just boggles my mind because I don't understand its purpose. Like we talked about. We talked about Canoxai, how in the rooms where we start to get out of the Jade Sea have this mysterious feel to it, the mist and everything. That crystal room, it feels like it has a deeper significance, but it's never really explained, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And here we've actually got the Kurzik houses with the lights in the windows. Now later Urgoz is going to tell us that, or going to hint that basically all of the Kurziks around here have been killed. But it looks like there are Kurziks living here in these hostile conditions. Now we know that Kurziks love to live indoors and spend most of their lives living indoors. So maybe it could be that they're fine here simply because they never go outside. But it does kind of contradict what Urgoz says later on, doesn't it?
Yeah. And now we're about to come to the room where as people who've run this before know, if everybody crosses the bridge, this room fills up with a tremendous amount of monsters. And when we went through it with wardens, when we went through it the first time, we forgot that and had quite of a fight.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I'm not sure if that's meant to be a glitch or again something that ArenaNet deliberately put in. If you leave a player behind, then you can skip all of the enemies that would usually spawn in this room. If you all go in, then you just get swamped by them. So it's quite interesting. What I like about this room as well is these, can you see kind of these archways lining the walls? You see that kind of architecture in Ascalon, and we know that there's similarities between Ascalon and the Echo Valley Forest, particularly the naming conventions. Sort of the way people are named in Ascalon is exactly the same as they are in the Echo Valley Forest. They're all very Germanic names. So I think it's quite cool that you can see architecture that's pretty similar here as well. Even if it is only for a little while. Or by pure coincidence.
Yeah. Here you have another archway you can see up ahead. The visuals here are quite striking. I love the contrast between the amber yellow, the stark grays, and the vivid greens. There's a few places in the forest where you have these, but I think they're too few and far between.
Considering that the elite areas are places that many players probably wouldn't see, particularly when the game first came out. Oh, so there you are knocking on one of the Kurzik's houses.
I wanted to see if someone was home.
but yeah, as I was saying... Oh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that not many people would see these areas. And yet they've still taken the time to make them look pretty cool. I mean, in Nightfall, the elite area there, I think that they were very, very poor visuals there, as we'll see later on in a future episode. But here, it seems to all look very cool and be very cool around here.
Here, I think, is where it really reflective of what we shouldn't be doing, I guess. You were talking at the beginning of the video about how it feels like Urgoz is right in wanting to return life to the forest, and here we have all these wardens and dragon mosses and all these protectors of the forest, if you will, and we're just killing them all because they're fighting the...
Yeah, they're kind of all banding together against us, and we just keep pushing in and in and in. At the end of the day, I think that really we're quite bad for coming in here and trying to kill Urgoz, because yes, it is hinted at that perhaps the wardens have been more aggressive lately, but Urgoz himself is just hiding in the deepest part of the forest and trying to protect this area, as we'll soon see, that's so full of life, and we're just storming in because we don't like his minions that are around there. And maybe we don't see eye to eye, but I'm sure that the Kurziks and the wardens at the end of the day want the same thing, don't they?
Exactly. It's not like the outcasts in the deep, which come out and attack. This is the forest itself. This is quote unquote nature, but I guess we can't cohabitate anymore. We must take out Urgoz.
It's quite nice to a little bit of foreshadowing, really, that they're doing this, and later on we'll see everything we're going to see in the Winds of Change, where all of Cantha becomes so xenophobic and they just don't want any other races around at all, and you know, the forming of the Ministry of Purity and stuff. It's quite interesting that pretty much we're doing exactly that here, just trying to get rid of all non-humans that we don't see eye to eye with all the time.
And that's going to be interesting in the Winds of Change into what content they're going to decide we had completed in this one.
Yeah.
If they're gonna decide that we did complete the deep, and so now Canoxi's aspects won't be around anymore, or if there's going to be a resurgence of that, and same thing with Urgoz. Is there going to be a massive resurgence of wardens? Is that going to be one of the central themes?
Yeah, because we don't know specifically when in the timeline the heroes were supposedly beat Canaxi and when they beat Urgoz. So in Winds of Change, we could start seeing Oni popping up and stuff, and we could see wardens around, but should we really see those if we've already defeated them? It's difficult to tell, because it's one of those situations where you can't tell whether it's gameplay mechanics we're looking at here, or the actual story unfolding, right?
Yeah. My fear is that the deep and Urgoz Warren will turn into kind of the Crystal Desert in or the Southern Shiver Peaks of when doing the War in Kryta. The War in Kryta really focused on that one area, as well as a little bit of the jungle, and the other areas were kind of ignored. I'm hoping that when Winds of Change comes, that these elite areas are included somehow.
Yeah, because it's not just the fact that we'd like to see the content in places other than just the city, but also because if the idea is that we did defeat Urgoz, what happens to this place now? What's going on in Urgoz Warren after Urgoz has been defeated? What's going on in those deep mines after Canaxai has been defeated? It'd be interesting to revisit those locations. I definitely think so.
And like you were saying earlier, the fact that life is returning here and that the jade is returning back into water. So there definitely is a change happening.
But yeah, here we go. This is like the last passage. Urgoz will soon be talking to us about how he wants to kill us and rip our heads off, and so on. You can see a single twisting bark on his own, just staring over. And this is where you can see how things don't necessarily look like they're alive, but there's a real green tint to this room. Like there is life really struggling to come back. You can see there's a door on the left and a door on the right here. And there's a guardian serpent guarding each of them, and basically each of these doors are separate ways to get to Urgoz's chamber. We decide to charge him straight ahead over this bridge in the middle.
Yep. One thing we might want to talk. Did you pay attention to the water around Urgoz?
Well, when you stand in it, conditions extend on you by like 20%. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Is it waters of corruption or something?
Yeah, something like that. It's quite cool that there's actual water that's not jade here. Anyway, Urgoz is speaking to us. So he says, "So you have come at last. I have foreseen your arrival, just as I have foreseen your doom."
It is your fate to die in this place. Then it is you will never escape. And he just talks and talks. Which path shall you follow? They all lead to your demise. Let the wardens put an end to your misery, human. Man, it just goes on. Breathe deeply the corruption of the forest, share its agony. Then it's a long one. The Kurziks who lived here long ago knew they could not escape their destinies. It is as I have foreseen, you will die here. And then it is, I knew you would make it this far, but soon you shall be no more. It is your destiny.
Yeah, so he just keeps going on and on. It's as you can see, as we were saying at the start, it definitely seems like all of those dialogue boxes were supposed to be spread out as the mission went along, but they all ended up at the end due to time constraints or whatever. Anyway, here's the two guardian serpents you can see on either side of him, and he looks really cool, doesn't he? I really like the way Urgoz look.
Yeah, he's pretty good. One thing though about the dialogue text, I messed up one of the text, but it's not that important. What I'm noticing when reading it out loud, yeah, let the which path should you follow? They all lead to your demise is clearly meant to be in the room
maze.
with the maze, yeah. And let the wardens put an end to your misery, human is the room that's supposed to spawn out hundreds of wardens that we end up just skipping over, right?
Yeah, they all seem to reference. And the other thing is, he says you will die, and then just a couple of seconds later he said you will die. It's kind of like he should have said that at the start and then again at the end, not so soon. But yeah, do you want to talk about how this fight works? How we well, not our ingenious way, but the ingenious way everybody fights him.
Yeah, it's basically by using Edge of Extinction and getting close enough, because he's considered a plant, like the explosive growths that appear around him. If you can get his health down to about 90%, which we do here, and you put up Edge of Extinction, the explosive growths pop up next to you, wherever you stand for a little too long, and then when they kill themselves, they do damage to him using the Edge of Extinction.
Yeah, so you essentially have him kill himself, which is pretty cool, I think. As you can see here, we're just running around, and if you watch his health bar very, very gradually, you'll see it slowly going down. As you guys know, I don't usually have my health bar, enemies' health bars on there, but for the purposes of this, I did, just so that we could watch Urgoz's health go down. If we had more players, it probably would have gone a bit faster. But at the back of the room there you go, he's just dead. And that actually opens up access to a portal at the back of the room, which you don't see in the Deep, do you? There are two elite missions kind of the same as each other, but the Deep doesn't have a portal that takes everyone back, while Urgoz Warren does for some reason.
Well, we talked about this at the end of the Deep one we did. It was the fact that when you kill Canoxai, the room aspect remains. The aspect of, I think it's depletion. And in this one, they go, "Oh no, you killed him. Now there's a portal. Now you can exit out, and everything's fixed now."
So you're saying that maybe they're specifically saying, yes, this story is over, Urgoz isn't coming back, while in the deep it seems like they're hinting that maybe we haven't seen the last of Kanaxai?
Yeah, but I would say also that the chances of you killing a plant and the plant not coming back seems. I think Urgoz is much more of a weed.
Pun intended. So yeah, there we go, guys. That was the deep. That was Urgoz Warren. Not as interesting as the deep, I would say. There you go. The portal takes you back. It's a favourite mission of mine though, because it is quite fun. I remember playing it long ago when it was really difficult, and it just felt amazing to get so far. But take hours and hours to get to him. But yeah, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay then. All right. See you next time.